A warm welcome to this pilot event of an international and digital think tank. My name is Ursula Hultqvist Bengtsson, and I'm the founder of
There is a lot of background.
And we need to mute someone here. And I'm the founder of the Twins International Multi-Helix team, together with some of the clusters and science parks also being members here. I'm based in Sweden, and beside me I have Natalie, who is a product manager of both TIM and the multi-helix activities that we run outside TIM. And TIM is a super cluster of 12 science parks and clusters in Asia, North America, and Europe. And we have a focus on life sciences, but also in several sectors closely related to life sciences. And the aim is really to support each other to become the kind of best possible member-based organizations we can here. And today we're really proud to introduce a new concept for sharing and learning between selected members. And that is the kind of think tank concept, which we have run from a Swedish point of view now since 2016, but this will be the first international digital one. Now let's start with some general information here. And the first one would be that to all of you, the think tank is recorded, and I hope that you're all okay with this. We would like to make it available for those not present. We also would like to ask you to leave any questions till after all the presenters have made their talks. And we expect 7 to 8 minutes from each speaker here. Q&A will open up for both questions from all of you attending the meeting, but also for a discussion among the speakers. And we are quite a few people here, so if you could put your name and where you are from in the chat so that we can kind of collect that to see who we have with us here, it would be much appreciated. And I think that that's probably it of this general information. So now I will hand over to Joan Popolo, the Executive Director of Action Innovation Network. So please, Joan.
Thank you, Ursula. Ursula and I are both very excited to be able to present this today. Action Innovation Network is a member of TIM. I believe we're the only one in the US, maybe North America at this point, representing a network of technology business incubators located throughout the New England region here in the US. And I have brought together 4 of our local to New England life science incubators to share presentations with you about the terrific programs that they carry out in their own incubators, so that you might be inspired. We all learn from each other today. And I think with that, I'm going to hand it to Ursula to introduce our first presenter.
So thank you very much, Joan. And I would like then to welcome Christine Dahlman Jakobsen, who is a product lead of a SMILE incubator at Medical Village in Lund. And Christine is going to talk about the golden ticket and 10 times health. And we'll soon have the slides ready for a presentation here. And Christine, would you like just to introduce yourself a little bit in more detail? So there we have them. So I don't know if because we can't hear you. You are muted.
You are muted, Christine. So, here we go. Now, can you hear me now?
Now we hear you loud and clear.
Good. Great to be here. Thank you, Ursula. Yes, I am Christine Dahlman Jakobsen. I'm working as a project portfolio lead here at SMILE Venture Hub. I've been here approximately a year. And before that, I have some 12+ experience from biotech as co-founder of a biotech company. And I'm here to talk about our golden ticket project with AbbVie and our 10 times health project targeting scale-ups. So please continue next. You can continue with next slide. And that's just showing where we are in the world. So we're in Lund, Sweden, very close to Copenhagen and Denmark. So we're really part of the Medicon Valley Cluster Alliance here. So continue to next, please. And here, just very briefly about Smile Venture Hub. We are a non-profit venture hub empowering entrepreneurs and startups to commercialize and develop their life science innovation. And we were founded by the Lund municipality, Lund University, Medicon Village, and Region Skåne. And we're also recognized as an excellent incubator by the Swedish Innovation Authority, Vinnova. And actually, we have recently also been recognized as one of Europe's leading startup hubs 2024 by the Financial Times and Statista. So next slide, please. This is the programs that we provide today, and the core, and until now, more than 100 companies have gone through our incubator program. And 85% of these companies who has graduated from our incubator program are actually still growing and are in business. So we're really proud of that. And I would say it's our core business, even though we also have programs for very early startups and digital or online courses also for targeting the life science startups. And we are able to offer wet labs, and we have 12 shared laboratories. And the majority of our startups in the incubator are pharma, diagnostics, and we have also extended to sustainable food tech. Yes, and I will also, as I will talk most, the golden ticket I'm going to talk about is related to our incubator business, but I will also then go on to talk about our accelerator business. And here is where we have recently initiated a scale-up program. So next slide, please. Yes, this last week we announced the winner of the AbbVie Golden Ticket, Scandinavian Golden Ticket, here at our incubator. And the winner is AAX Biotech, and they were from KI Innovation in Stockholm, and they will now be part of our incubator. And AbbVie had, before this, they decided to go with us, made an extensive evaluation of Nordic incubators, and their Smile was selected as the chosen partner. And the reasoning was that we had the relevant innovation areas, we had the core facilities, and we have wet labs in our incubator, and also the Smile Venture Hub's role in the life science ecosystem. And also our programs and networks were judged as very attractive. So, and they decided to go with AAX Biotech, and it's a company with the platform technology rather than a single asset. And they focus on antibody-based medicines, and they have proprietary technologies to solve key challenges in drug development, which is, of course, of great interest to a company like AbbVie. And the winner will get lab space, mentoring and business coaching, tailored support, and exclusive access to both AbbVie and Smile networks. So that's our Golden Ticket industry collaboration with AbbVie. And then next, please. I think I have a few minutes left. Yes, in January, we kicked off our pilot for our 10 times health program. And here we are really targeting scale-ups. And if you look at the OECD definition of a scale-up, it's a company that has more than 20% continued growth over 3 consecutive years. And we are planning to get as many companies as possible to go through this development program over the coming years as well. And here I am project lead, working closely together with Sara Lidé from Medicon Village here in where we are situated. The companies are offered a program of 9 modules over 12 months. Presently, we have 6 companies going through this pilot program. And what's unique is that we involve both the board, the CEO, and the management team, the whole management team. We want it to be a hands-on working experience. We want to leave room for normal business. And we also want to leave a lot of room for peer-to-peer collaboration and exchange between the participating companies. But we also have an individualized support with one-on-ones with our experts for the companies. So they will have both this collective experience and an individual tailor-made part of it. And today it's also EU financed pilot. Next slide, please. This is my last slide. I just wanted to show you the photo from our kickoff, and the companies participating this year is NanoEcho, Neola Medical Solutions, Syxone, Paindrainer, Econovo, and Human Sense. So we have, by choice, targeted different type of life science companies in order to see if the common denominators are good enough for them to have a good working relationship together and can learn from each other's experience, even though they're not working with exactly the same thing. And we have a combination of external and internal experts. Here you can see the various suppliers we have and what type of components we have in our program. Am I keeping to my time slot, Ursula?
Yes, you are. You have 3 seconds left.
Perfect. Then on my last slide, I only have, if you want to read more about us at Smile Venture Hub and read more about the 10 times health program, please have a look at our homepages. Thank you.
So,
Thank you,
thank
Christine.
you. Thank you very much, Christine.
It's very interesting. And this is what we were hoping to happen in the last half hour of the think tank, is to, get that discussion going, incubator to incubator, to share knowledge that way. So thank you, Christine. And now I'm here to introduce the first incubator from the US side. And I'd like to introduce Marianne Picard, who's Director of Operations at the University of Massachusetts at Lowell's Massachusetts Medical Device Development Center, otherwise known as M2D2. And she is also UMass Lowell's Executive Director for Innovation and New Ventures. So Marianne, go right ahead.
Thank you so much, Joan, and thank you, everyone. Great to be here. So M2D2 is under the UMass umbrella. And probably one of the most important things to share is that no affiliation with UMass is required to participate in any of our programs. The one here today to talk about is M2D2, as Joan mentioned, for an incubator program as well as an accelerator program. We have 3 facilities, as you can see here, all varieties, private labs, shared labs, in 3 sites. 2 are in Lowell, Massachusetts, not too far north from Boston, and then 1 right on the campus of UMass Chan Medical School. And all the things you would expect to find in this type of program, we do have. We have equipment, shared equipment, resources, as you can see here, a whole host of lab support, a whole host of meetings and connections with funders. We work with 5 early stage VC firms, 6 angel investment groups. We have 26 strategic industry partners for licensing and merger and acquisition deals. We help with a whole array of federal grant programs in all different varieties where we issue subawards or we help you apply directly to the funding opportunity. And then our core labs are also available for external use, both on our campus here in Lowell and also at UMass Chan Medical School. I think that rounds out this slide. We can go to the next slide. Our largest, this slide was just intended to show you our largest program of the year is a worldwide global medical device and biotech competition where we give out at least $200,000 in cash and in-kind awards. And you can see here the growth of the program through this chart has grown significantly over the years. And we just put the 13th annual one in the books. So we had 251 people in the room, and we took in 171 applications, whittled those down to 15 finalists. So If it's okay with the group, we often share it with our other incubator and accelerator programs to spread the word, because this is really more of an innovation activity. We are completely full until we do have a very large expansion plan here at UMass Lowell, an $800 million expansion plan that will largely include lab space. So we're hoping to be able to grow, but right now we have no more space, and to really use these activities to help the innovation ecosystem as a whole. So really in economic development and workforce development activities. So next slide, please. This is another example of the program. Is we run a Center for Advancing Point of Care Technologies, and it is funded by the NIH, and we issue subawards, and then we help these companies for a year. So it's an accelerator style. We help them for a year to advance their technologies using that funding, which is most often for early clinical studies, is most often what it has been used for. And this really shows you the amplifier effect that a program is. It's considered quite small in terms of in comparison with other NIH programs, but it can really show you what a small amount of funding can do for these early stage companies to generate data. And again, we welcome applications from everywhere. In this case, the applicants, if they happen to come out of your centers internationally, they do need to identify a US partner, but we've had many that's not a problem at all also. But you can see here, it has really generated additional IP, a lot of follow-on funding, partnerships, and teaming. All sorts of benefits have resulted from a small amount of money. So next slide. In here, as I mentioned, this is just a small sampling of our corporate sponsors who we do connect you startups with directly, and they also support our programming. So it can be M&A deals, it can be just financial investments, it can be licensing. It comes in all different forms. But again, it's open to anybody, any startups throughout the world, and we work with a number of incubator and accelerator networks. So in addition to Action, so it's really good to get the word out and work all together. I think that might be all I had. No, I'm sorry, it isn't. Someday I feel like it never ends. So we do have an accelerator program, and we call it Impact, which stands for Innovative Medical Products, Action, Commercialization, and Technology. This was funded by the EDA, and we are, in fact, we just had our final cycle of the program just last week, and we're seeking partners to continue it. But you can see to date that we have supported 80 startups. And again, you know, what's really nice about these programs is that you can in the accelerator style, as I'm sure you know, you can track the metrics a lot better than just a broad incubator program. So the metrics generated from this accelerator program have been just unbelievable. And again, was open throughout the world. Now I think that's really it.
Yeah. So thank you very much for this excellent presentation. And as Joan said, we leave the questions for afterwards when all of the speakers had their part of it, this think tank. And now I would like to introduce Ulrika Edvardsson, who is the Senior Director and Managing Director of a BioVenture Hub at AstraZeneca in Gothenburg, Sweden. So please, Ulrika.
Thank you, Ursula. So please, you can go to the next slide. So today I will share the story about the AstraZeneca BioVenture Hub that was established already in 2015. And it's a very unique and great example of how we work with open innovation within AstraZeneca. So it all started that we have empty space here at site. And we thought it was a very, very good idea. Why not bring in companies to the site? Because we also have a lot of great infrastructure, a lot of expertise that we can share. So it's all about sharing knowledge and open up. Because in those days, it was a quite closed site. But it's open innovation and open doors. So the focus was to welcome scale-up company in the 4D sectors. Drug, device, digital, and diagnostic. And today I would even extend it to other Ds, data and deep tech as well. And we also believe very much in the non-competitive synergies of bringing here companies that are not competitive with each other, that kind of a prerequisite for the open climate that we want to create here, with knowledge sharing and open discussions in between the companies and with AZ and the companies as well. It was supported by AstraZeneca to establish this kind of innovation platform here internally into our site, fully integrated. And the idea was also presented to the Swedish Innovation Agency, which also thought it was a great idea of supporting life science company. So they decided to fund this initiative. So now we are in the last year of public funding, and because we cannot receive any further funding after 10 years due to European state aid rules. And since it was a public-private partnership, the idea from start was not to with focus on value for AZ. It was more for the greater good, so to say. So the three main objectives from start was to strengthen the life science ecosystem, to support SME growth, and also to attract talents to the region. And I shall add also that it was set up like a fully owned AZ subsidiary. And has it been successful? Yes, we can have a look at the next slide. It has been going on for 9 years now. We are at the last one, as I said, and every year we're conducting a survey, both since we want to know what we can improve further, and also, of course, since we need to report back to both Vinnova and VDR, the region here, which also is a funding partner. And this is just some number from last year's, and they absolutely attract talent to the region. 100 new employees, or new FTEs, I would say, because of course a lot of small companies recruit consultants instead of employees. A huge amount of capital raised last year's, and also new products, new patents, clinical studies, and a lot of publications. So it has definitely generated a value. And how come? What are the kind of success factors? Please, we can go to the next slide. What we believe are the factors for success here are, first of all, the kind of the major unique selling point for the BioVenture Hub is that we provide access to a vibrant R&D site with cutting-edge lab and facilities. Because the companies moving here, they sit in the purple buildings right in the part of our campus here, and they have their own lab and office space. But it's, as I said before, it's fully open so they can move around and interact with anyone working here. And of course, of getting access to 3,000 expertise here, all the way from target identification to small scale manufacturing. That is really something unique, because we know that early companies in the scale up phase, they need more than capital. They definitely need industry expertise to succeed. Collaboration opportunities is something else that we offer both with AstraZeneca and the other companies in the hub. And that is something that we see is working very well, to start with very kind of early exploratory collaborations that can grow into something more, into a real partnership in the final end. We have also created a Dare to Share community. And as I said, the important thing here to bring in companies in the non-competitive space to be able to share knowledge with each other. And the portfolio strategy of sector convergence, we believe, is the future of novel innovations. And we used to say also that innovation is a contact sport. So this is a physical innovation hub, not a virtual one. So people come together and meet each other to share knowledge, expertise, and ID with each other. And also something that is important to raise here is that there are no strings attached to AstraZeneca at all. So we don't even have a rights of first refusal. So the companies are working here are fully independently, and so that is really something that also is quite unique, I would say. And as I said, we are on the last year with public funding. So AstraZeneca has now decided to take on the cost from 2025 of running the hub because we see the value of it. So that will mean that we will be more kind of stringent in what kind of companies that we bring in that are more aligned with ASAP's interest, because we cannot have, we have not worked according to that model before due to the public funding. So more aligned with ASAP interest, but that also means that we will be more willing to invest more time to collaborate with these companies. So we definitely believe it's a win-win. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ulrika. And I think we'll move on and come back to you, Joan, for the next presentation.
You're muted.
I was unmuted and I muted myself. So now I would like to introduce Zushan, who is the Vice President at Massachusetts Biomedical Initiatives, which is located in Worcester, Massachusetts. So Zu, why don't you go ahead?
All right, thank you, Joan and Ursula, for organizing this event for all of us. My name is Zushan, Vice President MBI. If you could advance to the next slide. So MBI, we're located in Worcester, which is in the heart of central Massachusetts. We're the longest running incubator in the state, founded in 1984. We're a nonprofit organization. Our focus 40 years later is to establish the region as a global biotech and biomanufacturing hub. Since 2000, we've assisted over 188 companies. We've created 1,800 jobs, and our economic impact has been 1.9 billion. Can you advance to the next slide? So on a very high level, what we do is we support early stage companies and help to build the workforce pipeline by interfacing with both academia and industry to meet the needs of the industry. So our companies are from all walks, as we're technology agnostic, and historically the region supported many contract research organizations, but fast forward to today, we support cell and gene therapy groups, diagnostic and device companies, and the companies that are at MBI today have raised more than $200 million. For regional advocacy, MBI was initially founded as a catalyst for economic development, and we're recently leading a biomanufacturing initiative to designate Worcester in the region as a global hub for biomanufacturing. Can you advance to the next slide? So our model, we really allow early stage companies to grow from concept all the way through clinical trials. The companies with pre-seed or seed funding can take a small private lab of 100 to 500 square feet that supports 1 to 5 full-time employees in our startup center. Those groups have access to our shared equipment, which includes our Thermo Fisher instrument suite, as well as equipment located in the local academic core facilities that we partner with. We also support these groups on the business side through our Spark and Bolt mentoring programs that help companies attract investments. When companies scale, they're also able to transition to our scale-up center that supports groups from 5 to 20 full-time employees in spaces that are 600 to 3,000 square feet. And we recently opened up a pilot biomanufacturing center, which is my background. This is for companies that require flexible process development space. And we're already 30% full here. Can you advance to the next slide? So communities we think are best built, when there's collaboration. Excuse me. Worcester has a very robust higher education community with a total of 35,000 students during the school year, which a lot of people don't know about. I just want to highlight the UMass Chang, Medical School, which is one of the fastest growing research institutions in the country. UMass Chang received over $200 million in federal grant funding last year alone. To facilitate the workforce development efforts that MBI is known for, we coordinate a lot of the workforce programming by bringing a lot of the industry and academic partners together to ensure that the students are best trained, for industry. Can you advance to the next slide, please? So the robust educational community and also really the cost of living in Boston, Cambridge has made Worcester the 15th best life sciences cluster for talent in the whole country, with Boston, Cambridge obviously being number 1. Massachusetts is one of the few states that has 2 top 20 talent clusters for the life sciences in the country. Can you advance to the next slide, please? So for regional economic development, MBI has been involved in many development projects across our region, including the UMass Medicine Science Park and the new reactor biomanufacturing park that is now home to WuXi Biologics. Our organization continues to support the growth and expansion of the region and we call this the Worcester Biotech Triangle. And can you advance to the next slide? So everyone knows that Boston, Cambridge is the innovation capital of the world, but the challenge that the state faces has been to grow this beyond the confines of Boston, which is completely packed, as everyone in Massachusetts knows. Our statewide growth strategy is to really complement this quarter, which we're calling the Massachusetts Biopike. There's many more groups and companies than those listed here. But by car, Boston to Worcester is less than an hour drive, like driving through Silicon Valley in California. And I think that's all I've got. So I'd like to thank everyone for your time and attention. And, thanks again for Joan and Ursula. If anyone has any questions, my website, MBI's website and my email is listed here.
Thank you very much, Sue. Lots of information there to digest. I'm glad we're going to have this recording to look at again. So from that, I think we'll move to Alex Margulis, who's Chief Operating Officer at Mansfield Bio Incubator. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, Joan and Ursula, thank you so much for organizing this. Can you hear me okay? Excellent. So kind of like it's a great segue point from what Du was saying. We, just like MBI, we are nucleating a distinct cluster of the life science companies in Mansfield. And if you look at the map, we're uniquely situated within 1 hour drive from both Boston and Worcester, as well as Providence and Fall River, the other centers where the innovation in this region is taking off. We are very easily accessible to major highways, also 1 mile from or 1.6 kilometers from a train station, as well as the shuttle to Logan Airport. So the bus goes straight to Logan. Ample parking and the restaurants and cafe shops are not far away. So how do I next slide, please? So I'll spend some time talking about our brand new initiative funded by the federal EDA grant, which was focused on programming to accelerate the companies from Europe to enter the US market or be investor ready for the US. One thing I've learned from being in Europe is that the US is a preferred destination for many companies to raise funds. We do that by conducting a structured 6-week mentoring program to prepare the pitch deck, and mentors are tailored to a given company's needs. And then the companies have an opportunity. Hello? And the companies are willing to present opportunities to present their pitch deck at a semi-annual pitch challenge. We will have an inaugural pitch challenge on May 21st, and hopefully it will be one of many. We aim to do it semi-annually, and the next one we aim to do it in December or November, and we will open it to international companies in a hybrid format. So the idea is deliver a 5-minute pitch with a 3-minute Q&A, gain exposure to investors, corporate strategics, and other key stakeholders, facilitate the networking connection with investors, industry experts, entrepreneurs, and compete to win the prizes. And we obviously aim to eventually offer larger prizes and more sponsors. So the companies have an opportunity to incubate at our facility. and we have a variety of membership to fit the needs, from virtual to shared and private lab spaces of different sizes. Notably, our expansion was completed in 2022, funded by Mass Life Science Center, and includes 15,000 square feet of top-notch BSL-2 facilities. And then, next slide, please. Once we build the facility, we also want to equip it with the latest equipment. For that, we have just received a MassTech collaborative grant from the state. Our aim is to attract and support the company's cell and gene therapy and 3D cultures in both R&D and biomanufacturing. And we aim to facilitate the workforce development by synergizing with initiatives in local colleges around there. It's actually amazing to hear that so many colleges in the area actually do aim to turbocharge their programs. It just takes some time to get things going. We obviously are aiming to be as robust as you heard previously. So we also work with local CDMOs to understand how to help them better fill skill gaps. We also will acquire a number of high-end instruments shown here. And we estimate in 4 years that we will incubate 15 more companies, create 30 new jobs and 50 interns. That's not to say that we've certainly been having success currently. We currently have about 30 companies, collectively raising hundreds of millions of dollars and adding around 30 employees and interns. Next slide, please. And this is my contact information. And of course, I want to pay attention, give direct attention to some of our key sponsors, such as MassTech Collaborative, Mass Life Science Center, EGA, and also the Realty Trust, who made it happen. And of course, we have plenty of other partners, including Force Action Network, as well as MassBio, several local colleges. And the unique offering that we have is we actually have a month-to-month peer-to-peer forum where companies can participate either in person or virtually. So, because in our opinion, there is nothing better than in addition to the didactic advice from the experts, it's also great to hear from the trenches of the entrepreneurs who are undergoing through similar challenges as the company that's our future companies. For any questions, I apologize for suboptimal formats, and here is my contact information, and I'd love to answer any questions. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Alex. We'll hold all the questions until the end, and we have a couple of more presentations. And our next presentation, I'll introduce Chris Ilsley, who's the president and CEO at Innoventure Labs in Beverly, Massachusetts. So go ahead, Chris.
Good morning, all, and thank you very much, Ursula and Joan, for organizing this. As you will probably understand, here in Greater Boston and Massachusetts, and more importantly, and you're seeing here, we have a collection of incubators, and we're one of the ones that started as well with MBI. We started back in 2009, actually back picking the brains of MBI on how to start an incubator. So I think one thing you'll notice as well as you start to investigate the Massachusetts innovation ecosystem, particularly with regards to incubators, is we really don't compete with each other. Let's just be clear with that. We more complement each other in our geography, in our region. The region that we're in, which is Metro North of Boston, is more on the diagnostics, the tools, the reagent side of things. We were actually established back in 2009 as both a life sciences and a clean tech incubator. I would say now that we are, I think Ursula mentioned that as well, we're actually now finding that we're just more of an innovation incubator. I have a company right behind me from Singapore that's actually working on stem cell milk. So is that clean tech, ag tech, biotech? It's innovation, and that's what we're looking to support. So we're looking to support people that really need incubator space and need to grow their companies. So again, just give you some numbers. We occupy 290 square meters of space within our center. We've worked with 89 companies, and they've generated over $1.2 billion worth of investment over the past few years. I think an important thing for this group is 30% of our companies have been founded by immigrants, which actually is a reflection again of the Massachusetts community, the fact that we are an international center for research. So we attract a lot of people to the region from around the world, and they have a tendency to stay here and start growing businesses. Currently, we are working directly with a New Zealand, a Danish company, a Singaporean company, a German company, and French. And we are also in conversations right now with companies from Japan and Italy, and as well as Poland. The reason that we are working with these companies is we offer what's called our soft landing program. We've been doing this for a number of years. Like I say, we're very international. The physical space we have has all the core facilities that a company would need to start its business. But our soft landing program really tries to get companies ready for the US market. The US market, or so should I say North American market, so Mexico and Canada as well, is radically, radically different than Europe. And to be perfectly frank, it's a big shock to people on how different it is. So what we're trying to do is make sure that they are ready for the US market or North American market by providing a suite of services that, to be perfectly honest, we offer our domestic companies here. I often say the fact that we're actually, we've got 49 other countries to occupy here in Massachusetts, and those are from the rest of North America and the US states. One thing we usually find is that there are 3 areas that international companies are coming to the US for. Business development is number 1. I would say the second one is research partnerships. No, just go back to the first slide, please. Partnerships, research and commercial. A lot of Beyond Horizon projects have a US affiliation. You heard about the FDA, the NIH. There's a lot of alphabet soup of agencies doing research in the US that we try and navigate people towards and try to find partnerships with some of the hospital systems and the private companies here as well. The other one that I think people are usually coming here for is investment. But the key thing I think we would like to recommend anybody looking at the US market, investment should not be your number 1 reason. Because there is so much activity over here that it is difficult for European companies in particular to attract investment directly. You need to really do the first 2, the business development and the customer discovery, as well as the partnerships, to really attract investment. So like I say, here we work on business strategy, we work on regulation, partnerships, clinical trials. As MBI mentioned there, they've got the Chen School of Medicine. We've also got some other leading hospitals as well that do a lot of clinical research. I look out of my window right now, I have another, what we would call a regional hospital here in the US, which would probably be called a community hospital in in Europe, that we actually partner with as well. We do have connections within the angels and the VC community, as well as some of the other incubators do. But I would say as well, the fact that, again, it is building up the relationships as key, and getting hold of angels is an important part of that as well. Profile and business next. So next slide, please. So like I say, a part of the soft landing is the mentoring. Really what we're trying to do is get these companies access to the ecosystem. We have a very diverse, very complex community over here, which is great. It's fantastic that we have all the resources. The challenge, obviously, though, on the flip side is that it's hard to navigate because there are so many different places and so many different things to do and places to be. For example, next week, I think there are at least 2, if not 3 events you should be at per day in central Boston, where there is a lot going on. So it's trying to help companies navigate where to be and what to be part of. Equally for us, we like companies to come here, but they don't necessarily have to stay here with us. They can move on, but at least they get their initial entry here. So again, business development support, infrastructure, again, as a community, we have all those resources. We usually don't find that companies need a physical space, i.e. a lab and a bench, until about 18 months into the customer discovery. And then we usually find the fact that they've got a research project or they've got a partnership, and therefore they need to do some lab work. So initially, what most of our companies usually do is a desk, but we can actually rent them out a bench if they need to do some research or some work and they don't want a shipment, between Europe or Asia and the US, so we can do that. Again, internationalization support is an important one. Again, for going from square feet to square meters and vice versa. Dollars, again, there are small things that actually make a big difference when you're actually talking to partners over here. The fact that they don't have to translate things, you can actually work straight on the business and the opportunity rather than them kind of calculating in their head what they're working on as you're trying to present. Again, community support here, we have a lot of international companies here. So again, we can tap into an expat network, an expat community, which actually helps people ease into the community and get some peer support. We have access as well to mentors and expertise, and that isn't just customers and the finance guys, but also looking at quality control standards, ISO, all those kind of things. Again, CE mark versus FDA registrations, all those kind of things that, again, you need to be considering when you're entering the US market. Isn't just voltage, it's also air pressure on certain equipment. We worked with a company that actually from Poland that actually had to go back and re-engineer some of their motors to actually operate effectively and efficiently in the US compared to Europe. Again, one of the things we're trying to offer, like the other incubators, we do a virtual program, and actually we find that actually works really well with the European companies in particular right now, is doing a lot of homework in advance before you arrive to the US to get yourself ready. One of the cruel benefits of COVID is the fact that we do have Zoom and we do have Teams that we can use a lot more efficiently these days. So it actually allows us to work with companies more directly before they actually arrive here. We used to work with Joan on a program called the Ritchie Foundation, which was a 2 weeks intensive program. I think now that's actually been shrunk down to a week because we do so much more work in advance of the program, so that when companies do arrive here, they know who they want to speak to and they have a more structured benefit program development. The flexibility and scale up as well goes from, we have a pre-incubation program, a full incubation program, and we have scale up. We have in our physical space, we have one bench through our shared lab to our individual labs, which are 65 square meters. And we have the pleasure that most of our companies actually stay within our building. Our building is 100,000 square meters, and most of our companies actually grow into that space, occupying usually about 1,000 to 2,000 square meters of space when they graduate. Next slide, please. One thing that we're trying to encourage is for companies as well as over here, but also internationally, which again goes back to the other incubators here, is being part of a strong community. What we want to be is a trusted partner. We want to offer the correct mentoring at the right time for the right reasons. access to a community. Again, I'm quite happily here at Innoventure Labs to refer people to my other incubator partners as well as other institutions as well. So again, I think we try to complement each other. A physical location. It is important to be over here. There has to be cadence. You can't just come for bio or bio week or something along those kind of lines. You know, we need companies that are going to be over here maybe every 4 to 6 weeks on a consistent basis. The reason being is, as it was mentioned earlier, this is a contact sport. You need to be in front of people. You need to be shaking hands. It's out of sight, out of mind. So you really do need to have a physical presence. The hotel facility we offer as well, which again, I think some of the other incubators will offer, is actually bringing in equipment, actually having it physically set up in a lab environment and inviting people to come and use it. That's really, again, something you might have a piece of equipment in a university or a hospital, but again, getting access to that, getting permission to actually have people come in and wander in and use it is a lot harder to do. So we've actually got a Japanese company we're doing that with right now, so that they're inviting their potential partners to be using that equipment and showing the bells and whistles and how well that equipment works for them. Skills development is another one. We touched on this with a couple of slides previously. Internships is a very big thing here in the US right now, particularly at the technician level, and international companies can actually get access to the internship program, which is actually sponsored by the Life Sciences Center in Massachusetts, as long as they're actually incorporated over here. Again, we all have partnerships with legal firms that can actually help companies incorporated in the US. And so that's about it.
Thank you very much, Chris. Lots of information there as well. So at this point, Ursula, I'm going to hand it over to you to introduce the last speaker.
So, thank you very much. And the last speaker would be Annika Grimberg-Lignell, and she's head of business development at the Sahlgrenska Science Park in Gothenburg, Sweden. And Annika, I would like to know if you would like to show the slides from your side or if we should do it.
No, you can share it if that's okay. Or do you want me to share it?
No, we can share it. Just
Yeah.
let us know which slides you have selected.
Okay, so you can just start on slide 5.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll just change the presentation screen here.
You want it in presentation mode? You go down
Yeah,
to
I'm trying.
We're trying. Working very easy.
So now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having us all here, Joan and Ursula. I think it's when I'm listening to, for instance, Alexander and Chris presentations, it's a great fit for where I will end up with my presentation. I'm representing Sahlgrenska Science Park, which is one of the science parks in the west part of Sweden. We are 6 science parks, and we have one topic that we own sort of each, and we are the Life Science Park in Gothenburg and in the West Sweden region. We are situated in the city of Gothenburg. We are close to the university hospitals, all the academia with research and all hospital research, the dental part, but also healthcare providers and all the students and the innovators and entrepreneurs. So it's the golden square mile from our perspective, but from a Gothenburg perspective, and you get around 20,000 people that moves around this small mountain every day. So it's a really nice hub to be at. So I'll take the next slide. And this is how the ecosystem looks like in the west of Sweden, and not according to us, but according to the region itself. That we have the academia, the healthcare, and the business part. And these are all part of our local ecosystem, where you can also find the BioVenture Hub as one part, obviously, and also GoCo, the big next area where just outside of Gothenburg, where you have the industry connections and a lot of the big industries in the life science area that we work very close together with. And we take the next one. But I'm here to talk about our coax accelerator, because that's what I think it's of interest for you. Now the slides moves quickly, Ursula.
Right.
Could you just go back?
Here now.
Yep. Okay. So we have we started 2005. Have fostered some 140 companies that have gone through all our programs. We have an international focus day one. On all our companies. They need to be able to scale internationally, otherwise they are not a fit for us. They all need to address a global health challenge. That means that they need, when they come to us, let us know how big the problem is, how many people that are suffering from whatever they are trying to solve, and how the healthcare and the healthcare providers should benefit of just that particular innovation. Growth is where we focus 50%. So we are an incubator, but we're very strong focus on growth. And 40% of our companies are deep tech companies. We take the next one. And we are non-profit, and we do not take equity either, but we work very much with equity when it comes to both grants in Sweden, grants in Europe, and also from investors, and particularly from European investors as for today. Hopefully also to embrace the American investors in the future. Take the next one. This is the portfolio. I'm not going to go through it. This is how it looks. And it's moving very fast.
Yeah, I don't know if you have an animation on the pictures or something.
Okay, so it's something that came in. So we are in the health tech, med tech, and biotech companies portfolio, and we are research is around 20%, and healthcare is around 20%, and then entrepreneurs from other industries. And this is where I want to emphasize. We get a lot of deep tech and high tech and AI from other industries that want to address the healthcare sector. And this is where our core is, to sort of shift them over to understanding what is it when you go into this specific industry. And I think that's a strength, because we have the opportunity to also address the knowledge and the talent attraction that they need to bring with them, because we need the AI and the deep tech and the machine learning guys and girls also in this industry, not only self-driving cars and in other industries. So we are fighting for the same talents, and we really need to highlight the importance of the healthcare industry, that this is where you should actually go to. And this is why we do this, is because we are owned by the municipalities, the city of Gothenburg, the city of Mölndal, where GoCo is situated, and also both university, the technical university and our business university in Gothenburg. So it's a collaboration from research all the way to the industry parts. Next slide, please. This is how our funnel from programs and our stages is looking. And on the bottom, you can see there are different stages of when it comes to readiness levels. And I know that in US, you're very familiar with the readiness levels, because it's the MITs. So innovation readiness levels, so it's easy to translate. And as we do, as SMILE also is part of the excellent program, so are we. But we mostly today focus on the later parts, because that is actually where we get scale and we get growth. And we are only, since we are a public-owned incubator, and an accelerator within a science park, we are only measured on growth. That means revenue from the companies and taxpayers, and how many employees they hire, and things that can bring back things to the society. Next slide. No. And these are the we craft out for each company. It's tailored. So these are the functions, and these are the skills and professions that we have and support them with, and also with partners. So we have different programs for different stages, but I will focus on the growth path this time, because this is the great fit for I think, especially the partners from US in this meeting. Next slide. So the growth part, it's an open tailored growth SME programs. We have focus on internationalization and commonalizations. It's test and validations for the next market. We work a lot with compliance, soft landing partnership, and we have some others which I will elaborate a little bit about, but I'm very happy to talk about more soft landing partnerships. And we also partner a lot with the industry and healthcare providers in each country. And we look for and work with EU and US growth capital. And we really focusing on connecting both industry, cross-sector, cross-convergence, understanding where health innovation also can make good in automotive, because they talk about safety, and health is part of safety. So we're not only focusing on driving the entrepreneurs towards the healthcare sector, even that if that's what they want, we also emphasize that they can go into other sectors, because that will be of more of interest for an investor, for instance. Yes. So we shifted from thinking about the market as a free market to a network market, and then and we started this 8 years ago. And now we're moving into being a networking partner, to actually be on the inside, a value creator, together with the partnerships we do create in each market. So we want to bring value to the partners we work with, and vice versa. It's extremely important that we not just networking, that we actually are, it's an insider partnership. And I will take the next one, Ursula. So this is the slide I want to talk about mostly. So as from today, we have 3 partners in Germany, and 2 of them are the university and medical center of Göttingen, which you can track a lot of health innovations and research success from. Hannover Impulse, it's within Germany. Those 2 landing pages that we have provided is for test and validation in the German market. We also have the investors, we have the clinicians, and we do the testing inside their hospitals. And we also have within NHS in UK, we have in Leeds, the same setup, that we actually bring the companies and their innovations inside the hospital. They are tested on patients, and they will run those tests for a week, very, very specific. And the outcome is often that you get a proven trial, and then our procured opportunity comes out of that. We are also working with Barcelona, also with testing and validation, because that's the whole idea is that we need to make the company ready for the next market. Even if they are tested in Sweden, we know that they will be asked to be tested in the country that they want to do their international journey with. When it comes to US, we have a collaboration with Berkeley has in California, and we do a product market fit assessment program with them. It's a summer program for MBA students for in legal, healthcare, and finance. They do look on if this product would be entering the US market, which area should they target, and how does their procurement look like, and what do they need to do within 1 year to be able to enter the market. And in Florida, I can't reveal yet because the MOU is not ready. We have with the University of Florida, we have also an agreement together with this entity to do test and validation on African American and Latinos only for all the products that we provide for the next upcoming 24 months. And that is because in Florida, the population is about 80% in 5 years' time will be African American and Latinos. So all healthcare new products needs to be tested on these groups. And that is perfect for us because then it means that we can also take these products to Africa and to South America, because then they are tested on the right population. And the next slide.
I probably need to ask you to finish off.
Yeah, I'm ready. So I'm just going to finish off by saying we're really looking for, we do this internationally, but we are also a partner when it comes from a Europe perspective, that we do product market fit and product market assessment the same way as we do with the company that goes international. We do that for Sweden. So we have the same setup locally here. Thank you.
So, thank you very much, Annika, and also a lot of information. And as Jörn said, we're really happy that this all the presentations are recorded so that we can come back and review it again in whenever we have the opportunity. So now we have about 20 minutes left for discussion, questions, and so on. So shall we start with open up to all the participants here who might have a question, and then we'll ask you to have a brief, questions and brief answers so that we can cover as many as possible. And I would also like to ask those of you who have not entered the chat and written your name and where you're from to please do that, so that we can also have that recorded and be able to contact again afterwards. So please, any questions here now? And Joan, would you like to help me also to see where the questions come up?
I just want to say that I'm astounded at the spectrum of offerings from just 7 different presentations today. And I see a lot of similarities and I see a lot of differences. But that's what makes this such a useful forum here for all of us to be. Annika, I think it was great for you to end the program. We didn't realize, we just kind of randomly sort of assigned people in order, but it's a great ending for the program, in sort of the soft landing realm of things, because I think in the end, this is a lot of what we want to see is sort of cross business opportunities happening between these regions, and soft landings is one way to do that. So with that, well,
Joan, can I make it? I think it was great again for everybody to come on, and I think this is hopefully the start of a few conversations that we'll have with this area. I think there is translational issues, and I think this is something that we need to understand between us as groups. I noticed that acceleration goes after incubation in Europe. Acceleration usually goes before incubation in the US. Usually when we're talking acceleration, we're usually talking those early stage companies that are trying to define their opportunity and go on like a defined program for a period of time, and then they go to incubation. Your acceleration to us is more of a scale-up program. So that's just an observation that I noticed, and there's a couple of you had that kind of chain. And I think it's perfectly fine. I just think we have to understand when we're talking to each other where things are on the customer journey, member journey.
Yeah, and I agree, Chris, and also that there is a huge difference when we talk about in Sweden, for instance, if you come from university and you do research, you own your research. It doesn't belong to the university at all. So that's a huge difference. That means that as soon as you're ready with your research, you jump in and you start a company and you want. So that's a completely different thing. So I think that's sort of explains a little bit that you incubate first and then you scale. And that scale is more of accelerate that incubation, and then you come to a later state, which is then growth. But and I think it's also explains the difference between investing in companies, because the companies that comes out are for an international growth are not that heavily invested in when it comes to our companies. They still mostly own like 75% of the company, and they don't have a lot of small investors inside. So it's a really clean cut for a US investor. That's what we hear from when we address US investors. They are very interested in the Swedish companies because they're not very messy. It's easy to do investment in. So I think that there is some translations to do, but just the fact that there is a huge difference from the university perspective when it comes to research is also fundamentally different.
Yep. I saw a couple of hands up. Sophia, your hand was up at one point. Do you have something to say? Just unmute yourself. Yes.
Yeah, no, I just made the same reflection. It's good that we get a clarification on that, the translation issue here. I was just giving a thumbs up, your perspective and US perspective.
And Christina, I think you wanted to say something?
I only gave thumbs up. I agree with the reflections. It's true. It's important to keep that in mind when we are in an international setting and are discussing it. So great point.
I was not aware of this difference either. I appreciate you, Chris, bringing it up.
If we think about what TIM is all about, is collaboration and supporting different clusters, hubs, or science parks to become the best they can. Are there any steps we can take out from this kind of meeting here? What would be the first one to really make this happen? That we do collaborate in a good way. What do we say? What would be the first step to take?
I think it's education information, to be honest. I think, again, it's coming back to that. Again, I think what we often have here in the US, and I think some of the guys will agree, we have what I call entrepreneurial tourism, particularly in Boston. They come over thinking they're going to tackle the US market, and I can do quite well in Europe, but the US is radically different. So I think it's managing expectations, I think, is a key thing as well. I think the rest of the guys here will acknowledge the fact that to get a good business development person in the United States with medium to a career in the industry is probably going to cost you on the order of $200,000 to $250,000 a year, with bonuses and things like that in there. So again, I think it's expectations, the cost of living, the incorporation, you are paying for healthcare, you're paying for insurance, you're paying for pension plans. There's a lot of what we take for granted in Europe, which are not covered in the US, and there is a big sticker shock to companies wanting to invest or set up a business in Europe, in the US. Even from the business development side of things, they're very much a commission-based country over a flat salary, again, compared to a lot of European companies and countries. So again, I think it's information. I think it's managing expectations and the length of time it takes to do some of these things.
And I think that goes to something you said, Annika, about your partnerships. And I have taken a note down with partnership with Berkeley Haas in product market fit. And I think that's sort of a wonderful way to really engage, both sides to work together for an understanding of what it's going to take. So it's very
and they
happy to see
also and what we hope that this will end up with, and I think that's something. So we acknowledge that it is completely different. Is that most of our companies will not set up a whole new entity and move to the US. They actually want a partner that will be them in the US. So they want to stay with the R&D, they want to stay, and they want to collaborate with US and take the next steps, but they want to have a partner. So it's a partnership to employ in the company a US representative that is and has the entrepreneurial insights, but also understanding the ecosystem and investor system and knowing the healthcare systems. It's much more important than to actually move to US.
I agree with that. I think actually if an investor's saying you need to move to the US, it's the wrong investor.
Yeah. So we emphasize with everyone that to get some, you have to give some. So to give away, and even if you can't pay somebody 100% upfront first day, you will then give away a part of the company as one way. So it's bootstrapping and in combination with a good investor perspective. So I think, and it goes both ways. I think it also works the same way in Europe. So that's why I'm happy when I'm listening to both you and Alexander that there is soft landing, and we're really looking for both the entrepreneurial people on your side that can support our companies and be part of that company, but also other mentors and advisors that can sit in the board while doing the US internationalization journey. Because you can't do that with people knowing Sweden.
Alika, go ahead.
Yes, right. Annika, to all representatives, I would really like to give a big thank you. It was very, very interesting. And I have a question for Annika. Do you have a similar setup, which I think it's quite unique, which you partner with other countries in the world? Would you have the similar setup also for American companies, which would like to come to Europe?
Yeah, then you go into the growth part of our programs. And we do that because we are part of in EU. We are a partner and doing that program. So we can do that also for US companies. And what's also very different between US and Sweden is the grant system in Sweden. If you have a Swedish entity and you are on your starting journey and wanted to enter the Swedish market, and you don't necessarily have your product 100% ready and you want to develop it somewhere else, you will automatically be eligible to join the grant system of incubations in Sweden because that's governmentally funded. So you can actually bootstrap yourself all the way up to an MVP full test and validation stage.
Thank you.
I would like to raise something here around this competition and collaboration. What we have now a word, an English word, but we use it in Sweden, which we call co-opetition. So there's a mixture of collaboration and competition. And how did that work? I mean, in these kind of networks. I think some of you said that you have an enormous amount of different incubators, and I know from Joan that the Action Innovation Network, we have 30 or 40 incubators of different kinds. And how do you see this very important part of being competitors, but also being need to collaborate in a good way? And how can we transfer that to a more international setting? How could we, even though we compete for companies coming, also collaborate in a good way? What are your views on this?
So Ursula, I would just say that I don't really feel like we compete with each other, because regionally the founders live in different locations. So for instance, if I get a company at MBI that lives very close to Mansfield or M2D2 or Chris, at North Shore, I will refer them over there because it just doesn't make any sense. We have plenty of companies and early stage groups that are interested in each of us for different reasons. Mostly, because we're geographically positioned throughout the state. I just think it makes more sense for the founder. So I think from the lens of being company centric and founder centric, I think that's where it's a little easier to understand that we're not actually competitors.
I think that's correct. I think the other thing that we do as well is our core competencies. So again, the scale that MBI has now, some of the stuff that Alex has, MTD2 connected to the UMass network has so many core facilities that it just makes sense for some companies, if they're using a particular piece of equipment consistently, that Lowell's the perfect place. Marianne's got an amazing program and amazing services. And we actually have companies that will finish us and end up at UMass Lowell. And I think vice versa. I mean, I've got one company right now that's actually doing a virtual program with us, is also at another incubator. So I don't think that's uncommon. And I mean, that's again, I think a very Massachusetts thing. I think we're very collegiate in that way. So I think that's what we do. I think we can help European incubators think similarly as well. But again, I think you're right. It's co-opetition. There is a bit of like, oh, flipping heck, they've got that business rather than us, or we really wanted that company with us. But there's enough opportunities around here that we can work well and work collaboratively.
And
And
but
I
you
think
are still competing for funding and so, and
I
for
think,
the
Ursula, just say that I think just in the meeting we are sitting in and representative from the incubation from Sweden. We are in together with Smile. We are part of Health Tech Nordic, which is a community of 330 health tech startups that we actually foster together. So we shift them in between when we need to get the best, entering a certain hospitals, or we are really strong in test and validation in the Nordics. So then we support companies with test beds, and we do that for free. So it's a collaboration, and it's a Nordic. So we also have partners in Norway and Denmark. So I think that incubators do not normally compete. They understand, and we all understand that we can't have all the competences and have all the contacts ourselves. So we need to collaborate.
Yeah.
So I just want to add to what people said. So it's also depends on the driving culture. Like in Massachusetts, we tend to be kind of like close by. There is a limited amount of driving distance we're willing to do. That's kind of like another thing. And also, in some respects, Massachusetts, the phenomenon of biotech industry mushrooming like that is a relatively recent one, and therefore, and the state, just by the way, by geography and topography, it's essential that it develops in multiple parts, simply due to the physical situation. So, kind of like just echoing the things both Zoo and Chris said. So, and certainly different regions would dictate different reasons, but in all respects, the more the better. And also, given the advent of internet and Zoom, it's if you can reduce your driving and improve your quality of life and helping the planet, as far as I'm concerned, everybody wins.
It sounds very promising, I think, that you all see that there is less competition and more collaboration really among the incubators that we have here. We have 3 minutes left for this think tank. Anything else that someone would like to bring to the table before we end here? Some kind of conclusion.
Is there any event or anything that sort of could bring us together? Something that happens somewhere that is of interest for all?
Would you like to answer that, Joan?
You see a smile on my face. Yes, we've been trying to do that. And in fact, we had original plans for the TIM network to hold their annual conference here in Boston in May. But for one reason or another, that kind of fell apart for mid-May. We wanted to do that because it would piggyback on an event that we were organizing. We are organizing for May 16th called MedTech Sustainability, which I think is shaped up to be a wonderful forum for a discussion on the future of circularity in the medical device and healthcare industries, which can get on my soapbox for a minute. I've noticed in a couple of presentations, Annika, one was yours, and was it Christine? There were some references to sustainability as one of the assessments for the company. So we find that very interesting. We take a lot of our lead from Europe on this because they are advanced in this area, have been thinking about this for a longer period and maybe have mandates to do such. That differs from the US, getting a little bit off in a different direction. But that is one example of an event that could bring us together around TIM, around sustainability or medical device or healthcare sustainability. And we hope to have, after this event in mid-May, if there's enough interest, we hope to have sort of spin-out forums to discuss different aspects of that in the US, and we'd love to come to Sweden too. So yes, let's think of ways to work together that way.
We do have Boston Bio Week coming up in September, October, Joan, as well.
Yes, right.
Well, so I also want to add, so our inaugural pitch competition is on May 21st. That's in person, but we're aiming to do subsequent semi-annual competition hybrid. So in other words, open up to the companies from any incubator of the TIM network, for example. So when the time comes, I'd be more than happy to share details. It's just the first time we want to do it in person, to kind of like work out the kinks, understand how it goes. Once we do that, we certainly would love to internationalize.
Before we end, Joan, you would like to have a photo of everybody. So if those present could turn on their cameras, so we could have a nice photo of at least some of us who have been around in this meeting, it would be really, really nice.
Yeah, we'd like to do that. So anyone in a black box right now that wants to turn on their cameras?
No black box.
We can see one after the other coming.
We do all appreciate your jumping onto this think tank with us. We hope to have more of these.
We do. This was the pilot, and I think that at least I would like to continue this on different topics. And I can also say that all the slides that we have been looking at today, if we don't want to look at the recording, you can also find the slides and the recording on the TIM webpage. Not today, probably. We need to sort it out first, but in a couple of days, you will be able to find that material over there too. And we'll send a link when everything is ready for those of you who we can find here. So thank you very, very much to all the speakers, all your efforts you have put into presentations and everything. It was really, really nice to hear everything. And I think this is a fantastic starting point for this collaboration also across the Atlantic here. So thank you so much. And Joan, would you like to also say something at the
No,
end?
that's it. I think we can end it for today.
So thank you so
everybody.
much.
Thank you
Look
again.
forward
Thank you, guys.
to all
Thank you.
again.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye bye.